Hey, what's going on, everybody? In this video, we're going to be doing a book review of Get Well Soon, History's Worst Plagues and the Heroes Who Fought Them by Jennifer Wright. Now, this book was, I'm going to tell you up front, it was super witty and super snarky, but it came across really well, and I just thought it was a great popular history book, and it's how probably how popular history books really should be written to get people interested in the topic at hand. Now, what she does is each chapter she takes a medical problem, usually like a disease or a plague of some sort, and covers that time period in history, like what happened, like such as how did the disease affect the society or culture or whatever, and then basically how it played out, whether it got resolved or not, and that sort of thing. And I thought it was really well done. There was a few choices I thought were kind of weird. For example, the medieval dancing plague. It was super interesting and super fun to learn about. I don't know if I'd consider that one of history's worst plagues, And also at the end, she covers lobotomies, and she does admit, that really wasn't like a giant plague type thing, but it was interesting to cover nonetheless. Now, I only had a few quibbles with this book, such as the first chapter on the Antonine Plague. I would not have considered the Antonine Plague in the late 2nd century AD to have precipitated the fall of the Roman Empire. It survived another 3 centuries or something after that. Besides the fact that Rome and the Western Empire were kind of prone to plagues, while considering the city of Rome itself was basically in a malaria-infested swamp. Tons of people just died all the time just from that. And if we were probably going to go with ancient plagues, probably the plague mentioned by Thucydides during the Peloponnesian War that racked Athens really bad probably could have been covered, which was though probably that was bubonic plague, I think, is what many researchers contend with, and she does cover that during the more well-known medieval period. But also, bubonic plague happened again under Justinian, which I think was a lot worse than the Antonine Plague I ever thought of being. But like I said, if that was bubonic plague, it is covered later in the book, and there'd be probably no sense in covering the ancient bubonic plague with the medieval one, as the medieval one is a lot more well known. The author does point out a lot of cultural problems too, both past and somewhat contemporary as well, and she does make some political stands and admits to it in the text itself, and I don't really have a problem with that. For one, most of the time I think I agreed with her, but secondly, I think it's alright in a book such as this it's intended to be a very popular history book, that sort of thing. It's not a dry academic, completely ivory tower type of book, so I felt that it wasn't inappropriate and did not affect my opinion of the book in any way. And the only other quibble I had with the book was there's a couple pop culture references that I didn't get, but that's kind of my fault. I think I looked at a couple of them up, and some of them are kind of old-timey pop culture references, I think, but, whatever. That's not a big deal. Now, the book had a ton going for it. Like I said, it was super snarky. I laughed out loud legit a couple times throughout the book. Definitely interesting, especially for people, I think, who either never read histories or don't care about histories or always think histories are dry and boring. They should definitely check out books such as this. And I don't know why I'm flipping the book around quite this much in this review. Now, there were definitely several chapters that I thought were really well done. Probably my favorite being the chapter on leprosy and the Hawaiian leper colony, and how Brother Damien went there and turned things around, even though he, obviously, by being in so much contact with them, developed leprosy himself, and that sort of thing. That was really well done. Some of the other chapters are well done too, such as the chapter on bubonic plague. I also learned a ton of tidbits. For example, the stereotypical witch doctor, during the bubonic plague of the medieval period, that had, the giant beak nose and the long black robes and that sort of thing. That apparently was semi-helpful at preventing bubonic plague. though indirectly from reasons they probably did not understand, and they had the wrong reasons for doing it, but it actually was somewhat effective at resisting the bubonic plague. Also, Jennifer Wright does do a good job with a lot of the primary source material, which is always a big thing for me when you're writing a history book. She incorporates that well into the work, and I just had a really great time reading it. And I'm definitely going to give Get Well Soon a solid 5 out of 5 stars. If this sounds like anything you might like to read at any point, you should definitely go check it out. I highly recommend it. And remember, read victoriously.